The classic street signs of a nearby drug abuse. But what about this? Remnants of something far worse. A new legal drug from Czechoslovakia called cake. Oh, and luckily the story involves these people. Free the United Kingdom from drugs and British opposition to metabolically bisturbal drugs. Ted Moore reports.
Cake first appeared in Prague last year. News reports showed victims insane with pain. Disturbing images like this and a knowledge of the drug routes in Europe led to the formation of Free the United Kingdom from Drugs, incorporating British opposition to metabolically bisturbal drugs. Their single aim, to enlist the great and good.
I'm Bernard Ingham, and this is a piece of cake.
To warn Britain about cake.
Fucking hell.
Before it was too late.
Hi, this is Bruno Brooks. We all like to party, right? Absolutely. But only the fool would say, yeah, I'll enter the nightmare of cake. And this is it.
This colour that they thought would be a good selling point is put in by using an industrial dye, which in itself is a pollutant, and is causing in Czechoslovakia something called Czech neck. It causes enormous water retention so that the body swells up. The neck becomes about this wide and swells up to engulf the mouth and the nose so that the person who's on that trip dies through not being able to breathe at all.
One young kiddie on cake cried all the water out of his body. Just imagine how his mother felt. It's a fucking disgrace.
Can we lose this thing about the slow crushing of his skull?
No one understood how to get the message over better than this man.
What is cake? Well, it has an active ingredient, which is a dangerous psychoactive compound known as dimesmeric Anderson phosphate. It stimulates the part of the brain called Shatner's bassoon, and that's the bit of the brain that deals with time perception. So a second feels like a month. Well, almost sounds like fun. Unless you're the Prague schoolboy who walked out into the street straight in front of a tram. He thought he'd got a month to cross the street.
Do you know they've even tested this stuff on rats? Turn them into bloody space hoppers, for God's sake. Come on.
And if you're sick on this stuff, you can puke your fucking self to death. One girl threw up her own pelvis bone before she snuffed the lid. What a fucking disgrace.
Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? If you want to be part of the summer of death. Thank you for listening to me. Take care. And I really do mean take care.
In part 2, cake gets political. David Amess is MP for Basildon.
How did you become aware of this then?
Tourists.
He is also shocked
Good God.
and appalled.
Basildon puke plates.
Yeah, the Basildon reference actually is nothing to do with Basildon the place. It was a rhyming slang which was Basildon Bond, and it was Basildon
The
Bond.
paper, right,
Yeah, Basildon
right.
Bond,
Oh, well then.
as in Bond, you know, getting out of your head.
If time's a drug, then Big Ben is a huge needle injecting it into the sky. But this is cake, the new killer drug from Prague.
Last half we heard about cake, and importantly, its dangers.
13 teenagers were trampled to death in a cow field at midnight taking this stuff.
And more importantly, that it's a made-up drug.
Cake is a made-up drug. It's not made from plants. It's made from chemicals by sick bastards.
But for maximum reach, cake needed an actively political kick in the pills. And that's what it got from MP David Amess, MP.
You've heard what Bernard Manning said. Cake is a bisturbal cranabolic amphetamide, which is a made-up psychoactive chemical. It comes from Prague, with its own culture of boom raves, where kids wolf down vast quantities of this. Big to contain trip nutrients. Yellow purely as a fashion thing.
They all fall on it like crazed animals, scoff the lot, and then lie around waiting for a DJ to play music which sounds like this.
Now to the speeded up brain of a user, that sound lasts for 4 hours and sounds like this. Is it any wonder users frequently complain of monumental depression?
Several people have actually been brained by saucepans thrown out of tower blocks used to make this kind of cake.
Look at that. 100 grand in the pocket of the filth that sells it. A big yellow death bullet in the head of some poor user, or custard gannet as the dealers call them. I'm off to do what I can. And if you don't mind, I'll leave this with you. I don't want to look at it for another moment.
What fucked and bombed needed more than anything was the illegalisation of cake.
And look, have we asked anything about this in Parliament? I mean,
no.
We haven't.
No, I mean, that would be ideal to get something
well,
done.
I'll certainly raise a question.
That now became a very real possibility. With the hell of cake still ringing in his ears, Amos went back to his lair and drafted a question for the Home Office. The very next question time saw health ministers pledging to fight cake. And in the meantime, the message for the kids is loud and clear.
Help fucked and bombed eliminate this evil.
Use your cheese box and say, no, never.
So please, help us at fucked.
And bombed.
Remember, cake is a made-up drug and has many disguises.
I'm just reading here the names of this fucking loony stuff. So if someone offers you cake, they might call it Looney Toad Quack.
Russell Dust.
Chronic Basildon Donuts.
Joss Ackland's Spunky Backpack.
Bromicide.
Ponce on the Heath.
Cool Thwacks and Charlie.
Argue Barmies.
Or Hattie Jake's Pretentious Cheese Wog. Chuck it back in the face and tell him to fuck off.
Well, that's all very well, but what about this? The Skag. I've been using this for about 6 years. I'm completely dependent. Terrified of vomiting my daily fix. Terrified of vomiting. Could so easily have been like that for me, but luckily the amount of heroin I use is harmless. I inject about once a month on a purely recreational basis. Fine. But what about other people, less stable, less educated, less middle class than me? Builders, or blacks, for example. If you're one of those, my advice to you is leave well alone. Good luck.